At my 11-year-old daughter's elementary school graduation, my parents stood up during the ceremony and announced to 300 people, "This child is the family disappointment. Her cousin got into gifted school, but she's just average." My daughter froze on stage. I didn't cry. I walked up and said, "Actually, my daughter was accepted too." My parents' faces went pale. The auditorium at Westbridge Elementary smelled like floor wax and the cafeteria's lunch remnants. 300 folding chairs packed with parents holding phones, grandparents with tissues already out, younger siblings squirming. The principal had been droning through names for 47 minutes. My daughter Emma stood in the third row of the stage risers, wearing the white dress we'd picked out at Nordstrom 3 weeks earlier. She'd been so excited about this day. I was seated in row J, seat 14. I'd arrived early specifically to avoid sitting with my parents. They'd texted that morning asking where we'd be. I'd said I wasn't sure yet. Let me tell you how we got here. My parents have always had a favorite. That's not dramatic, it's just fact. My older sister Jennifer produced 2 children who existed solely to accumulate achievements my parents could discuss at their country club. Matthew, age 13, had been accepted to the Davidson Academy for Gifted Students when he was 11. Sarah, age 10, was already competing in national piano competitions. My parents' refrigerator displayed a color-coded spreadsheet tracking both children's activities, test scores, and awards. I'd seen it last Thanksgiving. It was laminated. Emma was 11. She liked art. She got mostly B's with some A's in subjects she enjoyed. She had 3 close friends and spent weekends making elaborate chalk drawings on our driveway. She was exactly average by every measurable academic standard, and I thought she was perfect. My parents disagreed. They'd been making that clear since Emma was 6 years old. December 2019, Emma's first-grade Christmas concert. My mother, Jennifer's children were reading chapter books by this age. Is Emma getting the support she needs? March 2021, Emma's 8th birthday party. My father, to another guest within Emma's hearing, "We're just hoping she finds something she's good at eventually." October 2022, family dinner at their house. My mother, after Emma mentioned getting a B on her science project, "Well, your cousin Matthew got the Presidential Academic Excellence Award in Science. But everyone has different strengths, I suppose." They never said these things with malice. That was almost worse. It was stated as objective observation, the way you'd comment on weather. Emma is not exceptional. This is simply true. Let's all acknowledge it and move on. I stopped bringing Emma to extended family events in January 2023. My parents asked why. I said Emma had lots of weekend activities. They accepted this without question because they'd never actually asked what Emma did with her time. They assumed because she wasn't winning awards, she wasn't doing anything worth mentioning. What they didn't know, I'd been building something for 3 years. It started small. In March 2021, I'd enrolled in an online certification program through Cornell for educational consulting. Cost $4,800. I did the coursework after Emma went to bed, finished in 8 months. By December 2021, I had my certification and had started taking on 3 clients, parents who needed help navigating their children's educational options. I charged $85 per hour for consultations. I made $2,400 that first month. My parents thought I was still working my administrative job at the medical center, making $43,000 a year. I'd left that position in February 2022. I didn't tell them. By June 2022, I had 14 regular clients and had raised my rate to $120 per hour. I was making $7,200 monthly. I registered an LLC, Pathways Educational Consulting. Filed the paperwork on June 3rd at 2:47 p.m. My parents were at Matthew's academic awards ceremony that day. I knew because my mother had sent the calendar invite to the family group chat 3 weeks in advance. I didn't know my father was updating his will that same week, creating a trust fund of $150,000 for Matthew's college education and $125,000 for Sarah's. Emma wasn't mentioned. I'd find that out later. By March 2023, I had 23 clients and had hired 2 part-time contractors to help with the workload. Revenue, $18,000 monthly. I'd saved $87,000 in a business account. I was meeting with a financial advisor named Patricia Chin at Morgan Stanley every 6 weeks. She'd helped me set up a 529 plan for Emma with $45,000 already invested. My parents still thought I worked at the medical center. Close calls happened. April 2023, Easter dinner. My mother, how's work going? Still doing that filing job. I was holding my wine glass. Condensation dripped onto my hand. It's fine. Keeping busy. Well, at least it's stable. Jennifer's husband just made partner at his firm. $340,000 salary. I'd made $18,000 that month. I smiled. That's great for them. She patted my hand. I watched her settle back satisfied. May 2023, my father called. Your mother and I want to help with Emma's education. We know money is tight for you. We're setting up a small savings account. Maybe $3,000 to start. I was at my desk, reviewing a client contract worth $8,500. Dad, that's really not necessary. We insist. You can't give her the opportunities Jennifer gives her children, but we want to help where we can. My laptop screen showed my business checking account, $104,000. I appreciate the thought. For 2 full seconds, I almost told him. Then I heard my mother in the background. Make sure she knows it's for tutoring. Emma needs all the help she can get. I said thank you and hung up. June 2023, my sister Jennifer called. Mom mentioned you turned down their offer to help with Emma's schooling. Are you okay? Financially, I mean. I was at a networking lunch with the director of admissions at Harbor Preparatory Academy. I excused myself. I'm fine, Jen. Because if you need help, David and I could. I don't need help. A pause. 1 second too long. Okay, if you're sure. I went back to my lunch meeting. Harbor Prep's director told me about their new scholarship program for academically diverse students. Students who showed potential in non-traditional areas. Art, for instance. I took notes. By September 2023, Pathways Educational Consulting had 31 clients. I'd rented a small office space at $1,200 monthly. I'd hired a full-time associate named Marcus at $52,000 annually. My business was pulling $24,000 in monthly revenue. I'd saved $156,000. I'd also been having confidential conversations with 5 private schools about Emma's applications. My parents assumed Emma would attend public middle school like everyone else in our neighborhood. They'd never asked about my plans. I didn't know my mother had been telling people at her book club that she worried about Emma's future. No academic gifts, no special talents. We're concerned she won't be able to compete in college admissions. Someone from that book club would later mention this to me at the graduation. The look on her face when I told her where Emma was going. October 2023, I submitted Emma's application to 3 schools: Harbor Preparatory Academy, Westmont School for the Arts, and Brighton Academy. Cost per application, $150. I paid cash. Total application fees, $450. I didn't list my parents as emergency contacts. That raised questions at one school. I explained we had limited family involvement in educational decisions. They noted it and moved on. November 2023, Emma had interviews at all 3 schools. She brought her art portfolio, 60 pieces she'd created over 2 years. Charcoal drawings of our neighborhood. Watercolors of the park near our house. A series of portraits of her 3 best friends that made the interviewer at Westmont actually stop and study each one. These are remarkable, the interviewer said. Her name was Dr. Susan Martinez. She'd been teaching art education for 19 years. Emma blushed. They're just for fun. Fun. Dr. Martinez looked at me. Has Emma had formal training? YouTube tutorials and practice. She draws about 2 hours every day after school. Dr. Martinez photographed 3 of the portraits. May I show these to our arts faculty director? I didn't tell my parents about any of this. They were busy that month planning Matthew's bar mitzvah. Budget, $67,000. They'd mentioned it at dinner. My mother showed me the custom invitations, $3,400 for 200 pieces. She didn't ask about Emma's schooling. December 2023, first acceptance letter arrived. Harbor Preparatory Academy. Full scholarship, $38,000 annually and tuition waived. The letter cited Emma's exceptional artistic vision and creative problem-solving abilities. I read it 3 times. Put it in my safe. Told Emma we'd know more in a few weeks. Second acceptance, Westmont School for the Arts. Partial scholarship, $22,000 of $35,000 tuition covered. They wanted Emma to join their advanced visual arts track, typically reserved for 8th and 9th graders. Third acceptance, Brighton Academy. Merit scholarship, $18,000 of $42,000 tuition. Their letter mentioned Emma's portfolio had been among the most sophisticated they'd reviewed from an elementary applicant in the past 5 years. I had the letters in a folder in my safe by December 18th. My parents invited us to Matthew's bar mitzvah on December 19th. I went alone. Told them Emma had the flu. My mother, at the reception, "It's such a shame Emma couldn't come. Matthew specifically wanted her to see how these events are done. You know, for when, well, if she ever has something to celebrate." I was drinking champagne someone's uncle had imported from France. Maybe someday. We just want her to have realistic expectations. Not everyone is meant for big achievements. There's no shame in being ordinary. The DJ started playing aura music. For $1,800 for 6 hours of music. My mother had mentioned the cost 3 times. I excused myself and went to the bathroom. Looked at my phone. An email from Dr. Martinez at Westmont. "We'd like to feature Emma's work in our spring prospective student showcase. Would you be amenable?" I typed yes and hit send. January 2024, I accepted Westmont's offer. Signed the enrollment contract on January 8th, paid the $3,000 deposit. Set up automatic tuition payments for the remaining $13,000 annually. My business account held $187,000. This was completely manageable. I still didn't tell my parents. They were busy planning Sarah's piano competition trip to Chicago. They'd rented a suite at the Four Seasons for a week, $8,400. My mother posted photos on Facebook with captions about investing in excellence. February 2024, Westmont sent a welcome package. Uniform requirements, supply lists, information about their visiting artist program. Emma would have access to professional studios, instruction from working artists, field trips to museums and galleries. The package included a window decal, Westmont School for the Arts family. I put it in my desk drawer. We'd apply it to my car after elementary graduation. Not before. March 2024, my father called with news. "We're setting up education trusts for Matthew and Sarah. $150,000 for Matthew, $125,000 for Sarah. We wanted you to know we're contributing $3,000 to a savings account for Emma. It's what we can do." I was reviewing a client proposal worth $12,000. $3,000. We know it's not the same amount, but Emma's situation is different. She'll probably attend community college or a trade school. No sense investing in Ivy League preparation when she's just average. Exactly. We knew you'd understand. You've always been realistic about her limitations. My hands had stopped shaking. I'd been holding my breath. I let it out slowly. I appreciate you thinking of her. Of course. She's still our granddaughter, even if she's not, well. You know. I did know. That's when I realized I had exactly 11 weeks until Emma's elementary graduation. 11 weeks to keep this quiet. Then everything would change. April 2024, my business hit a milestone. 43 regular clients, monthly revenue of $31,000, total business savings of $224,000. My accountant, a woman named Deborah Ross at H&R Block, told me I should consider expanding, maybe hiring another full-time consultant. I told her I'd think about it. I was thinking about June 6th. About an auditorium with 300 people. About what my parents had planned without knowing what I knew. I didn't know they'd already told extended family that Emma would be attending the local public middle school since private school isn't in the cards for everyone. My Aunt Linda mentioned this to me at a family birthday party in late April. Your mother said you're keeping things modest for Emma. Very sensible. I smiled and changed the subject. May 2024. 3 weeks until graduation. My parents called. They wanted to attend Emma's ceremony. Of course they did. Matthew and Sarah would be performing in a youth orchestra concert that same evening, but they'd come to Emma's graduation first. We want to support all our grandchildren, my mother said. I gave them the date and time. Told them seating was first come, first served. They said they'd arrive early. I knew they would. I'd been counting on it. The week before graduation, I received the ceremony program. Emma's name was listed alphabetically, Emma Catherine Morrison. Under each graduate's name was their middle school destination. Most listed the local public school, Jefferson Middle. Some listed other public schools in neighboring districts. 14 listed private schools. Emma's listing, Westmont School for the Arts, Arts Merit Scholarship recipient. The program would be handed out as people entered the auditorium. Before the ceremony started. Before anyone sat down. I printed 3 copies at my office on June 2nd. Put them in my bag. My business partner Marcus asked if I was okay. Big week. Something like that. June 6th arrived. The graduation was at 6 p.m. I arrived at 4:47 with Emma. We checked in, got her positioned with her class. I went to the auditorium. Claimed row J, seat 14. Watched other families filter in. My parents arrived at 5:23. My mother wore a cream suit. My father wore a navy blazer. They were scanning the crowd. Looking for me. I didn't wave. They picked up programs at the entrance. I watched my mother start to read, then pause. She said something to my father. He looked down at the program. Even from 20 feet away, I saw his expression change. They didn't come find me. They took seats in row C, near the front. My mother kept looking at the program. The ceremony started at 6:08. Principal Hendricks spoke for 12 minutes about growth and potential. The music teacher led a class song. Then the awards portion. Academic excellence. Perfect attendance. Citizenship. Then the special recognition section. This wasn't in the program. Principal Hendricks, before we begin conferring diplomas, I want to recognize a few students whose achievements this year deserve special mention. These students have shown extraordinary dedication to their passions and have brought recognition to Westbridge Elementary through their work. She called 3 names. A boy who'd won a regional science fair. A girl who'd published a short story in a youth literary magazine. Then, Emma Morrison, for her acceptance to the Westmont School for the Arts Advanced Visual Arts program and for her artwork being selected for their Spring Perspective Student Showcase. Emma is one of only 3 elementary-age students in the program's history to receive this honor. Applause. Emma stood from her position in the risers. Smiled. Sat back down. I watched my mother's head turn. She was looking for me. I was 7 rows behind her. She couldn't find me in the crowd. The diploma ceremony began. Alphabetical order. Emma would be somewhere in the middle. The principal called names. Families cheered. Phones came out for photos. Then it happened faster than I'd expected. My mother stood up. My father grabbed her arm. She pulled away from him. She turned to face the audience. Excuse me. Her voice cut through the applause for another student. I need to say something. The room went quiet. Principal Hendricks stopped mid-name. Ma'am, if you could please. This child, my mother pointed at Emma on the stage. This child is the family disappointment. Her cousin got into gifted school. Into Davidson Academy. This one is going to an art school. Because she's just average. She barely gets B's. 300 people. Complete silence. Emma froze. She was standing, she'd been about to step forward for her diploma. She stopped mid-step. I didn't cry. I stood up. I walked up the side aisle. Every person in that auditorium watched me move. My heels clicked on the tile floor. 14 steps to the front. I turned to face my mother. Actually, I said, my voice carrying without me having to shout, my daughter was accepted to Westmont School for the Arts on a merit scholarship worth $22,000 annually. She's one of 3 elementary students in the program's 15-year history to be admitted to their advanced track. My mother's face started to drain of color. Level 1. A pause. 2 seconds too long. She's attending because of her exceptional artistic ability. The kind of ability that's resulted in her work being featured in a showcase that professional artists submit to. The kind of ability your grandchildren with their perfect test scores don't have. My father stood up next to my mother. Now wait, Justa. I'm not finished. I turned to address the audience. My mother seems to think achievement only counts if it's academic. She's spent 11 years making sure my daughter knows she's not good enough, not smart enough, not worth the same investment as her cousins. I pulled my phone from my pocket, opened my photos. This is the trust fund documentation my parents created. $150,000 for my nephew. $125,000 for my niece. $3,000 for Emma. Because Emma, in their words, will probably just go to community college. I held up the phone. The number 3,000 was visible on the screen even from several rows back. My mother's hand went to her throat. Level 2. The color was leaving her face in real time. What my parents don't know is that I've been running my own educational consulting business for 3 years. Pathways Educational Consulting. I have 43 clients. I make more in a month than I used to make in a year at my old job. My father's voice came out different. Higher. Tight. You told us you still worked at the medical center. You never asked. You assumed. Just like you assumed about Emma. I turned back to my mother. You want to know what else you don't know? I've saved $224,000 for Emma's future. I have a 529 plan with $45,000 already invested. I'm paying for Westmont out of pocket because I can afford it. The paper, the program, in my mother's hand shook. Level 3. And the kicker? Harbor Preparatory Academy offered Emma a full scholarship. $38,000 annually. Full ride. We turned it down because Westmont's arts program is better suited to her gifts. The gifts you've spent a decade telling her don't matter. Someone in the audience, I don't know who, said damn quietly. My mother tried to speak. Nothing came out. Her mouth opened and closed. Principal Hendricks had stepped back during this. Now she moved forward. Perhaps we should. I'm almost done. I looked at Emma. She was still frozen on the stage, but she was looking at me. Not scared. Curious. Emma, come here please. She walked down the stage steps. Came to stand next to me. I put my hand on her shoulder. This is my daughter. She's going to be a professional artist one day. Maybe an animator. Maybe a fine artist. Maybe an art director at a design firm making 6 figures. Whatever she chooses, she'll be exceptional at it. Because she already is. I turned back to my parents. You are not invited to visit her new school. You are not invited to her art shows. You are not included in her educational decisions from this point forward. You lost that privilege when you decided to announce to 300 people that your granddaughter wasn't good enough. My father put his hand on my mother's arm. She folded into the chair behind her. Level 4. Her face went from pale to red to pale again in 10 seconds. Now, I looked at Principal Hendricks. I believe Emma has a diploma to receive. Principal Hendricks, after a beat, nodded. Emma Morrison. Emma walked back to the stage. Received her diploma. The applause was louder than it had been for anyone else. A standing ovation from about 60 people in the back half of the auditorium. My parents sat in row C. My mother's hands were shaking. My father stared straight ahead. I walked back to my seat in row J, sat down. Watched the rest of the ceremony. After the final diploma was conferred, families flooded the aisles. I waited for the crowd to thin. Emma found me. We walked out together. My parents were standing near the entrance. Waiting. My mother, we need to talk about this. You embarrassed us in front of. I'm leaving now. Don't contact me unless it's an emergency. Don't contact Emma at all. My father, you can't just. Watch me. We walked to the parking lot. I had the Westmont family decal in my glove compartment. I applied it to my rear window while Emma held her diploma. The evening air smelled like cut grass and car exhaust. The sun was setting. 7:43 p.m. I heard my mother's voice behind me. Jennifer will hear about this. The whole family will hear about this. I didn't turn around. I got in my car. Emma got in the passenger seat. We drove home. The next morning, my sister called. Mom is hysterical. She says you humiliated her at Emma's graduation. That you've been lying about your finances for years. That you're turning Emma against the family. I was making coffee. Did she mention what she said to 300 people about Emma? Silence. Then, she said she was trying to set realistic expectations. At an elementary school graduation. By calling an 11-year-old a disappointment. She says she didn't mean it that way. I poured my coffee. Added cream. Jen, I need you to hear this clearly. I'm done. I'm done with family dinners where my daughter is compared to yours and found lacking. I'm done with conversations about how I need to be realistic about Emma's future. I'm done pretending I need their money or their help. But there are parents. They're grandparents who just told their granddaughter she's worthless in front of hundreds of people. I don't care what they meant. I care what they did. My sister tried 3 more times to convince me to apologize. I hung up. My parents attempted contact 6 times in the following week. Texts. Calls. An email from my father with the subject line, "We need to discuss your future." I didn't respond to any of it. 2 weeks after graduation, I received a letter from their attorney. They were removing me as a beneficiary from their estate. The letter outlined that Matthew and Sarah would inherit equal shares of their assets, currently valued at approximately $1.8 million. I was excluded due to demonstrated financial independence and unwillingness to maintain family relationships. I filed the letter in my desk, next to Emma's acceptance letters, next to the documentation of my business finances, next to the trust I'd set up with Patricia Chin that now held $89,000 for Emma's future. Emma started at Westmont in September 2024. Within 3 weeks, her art teacher asked permission to submit one of her pieces to a regional youth exhibition. By October, she'd made 4 close friends in her class. By December, she had a charcoal drawing selected for the school's winter showcase, which was attended by professional gallery owners and art buyers. My business expanded. I hired a second full-time consultant in August. By November, monthly revenue hit $38,000. I moved to a larger office space in January 2025. Lease, $2,400 monthly. I could afford it easily. My parents attended Matthew's high school graduation in May 2025. I saw photos on my sister's Facebook. They sat in the front row, held signs with Matthew's name. My mother posted, "So proud of our brilliant grandson. Davidson Academy to Yale. The sky's the limit." Emma's art was displayed in the lobby of Westmont that same month. A series of mixed media pieces exploring the concept of family. One piece featured a photograph of a child standing alone, surrounded by empty chairs. The placard read, "Sometimes the people who should hold space for you leave you standing alone. That's when you learn to take up space yourself." The piece sold to a private collector for $800. Emma's first sale. She used the money to buy art supplies and donated the rest to the school's scholarship fund. For 11 months, everything was quiet. My parents didn't contact me. I didn't contact them. My sister occasionally sent texts asking if I was ready to reconcile. I wasn't. Emma thrived. Her grades at Westmont were mostly A's. Not because the school was easier, but because she was learning subjects that engaged her. Art history, studio techniques, color theory, design principles. She was good at things that mattered to her. Then last week, my lawyer called. Patricia Chin had referred me to an estate attorney named Robert Keating 6 months earlier. Just in case. I'd had one consultation with him. Paid his retainer of $3,500. Filed it away as a precaution. His name appeared on my phone screen at 9:32 a.m. on a Tuesday. Your mother's attorney contacted me. They're claiming the trust fund distributions to your nephew and niece were made with the understanding that all grandchildren would be treated equally. They're suggesting that by creating a public scene at the graduation, you caused emotional harm that justifies the disparity in funding. I was at my desk, reviewing a client file. I stopped writing. They're justifying giving Emma $3,000 versus $150,000 because I called them out for publicly humiliating her? That's the argument. They're also suggesting that if you pursue any legal action regarding the estate exclusion, they'll file a countersuit for defamation based on your statements at the graduation ceremony. Statements that were true. Truth is a defense to defamation, yes. But they seem to think the public nature of your disclosure caused them reputational harm. I put down my pen. What are they actually trying to do here, Robert? I think they're trying to ensure you don't contest the will. They want documentation that you won't pursue any claim to their estate now or after they pass. In exchange for what? Nothing. They want you to sign away any claim in exchange for nothing. I opened my desk drawer. 3 items inside: Emma's acceptance letters from 2023, the documentation of my business formation, and a recording. I'd forgotten about the recording until that moment. June 5, 2024. The day before Emma's graduation. My parents had called me. I'd been at my office. I'd had my phone on speaker while I worked. My office system automatically recorded all calls for quality assurance purposes, a feature I'd enabled for client calls and forgotten to disable. The call had lasted 9 minutes. In it, my mother had said, "We're going to make sure everyone knows tomorrow that Emma isn't special like her cousins. Someone needs to set realistic expectations for that child. She needs to understand her place." My father's voice on the recording: "If her mother won't be realistic about her, we have to be." 9 minutes. Every word documented. Timestamped. Stored in my office cloud system. I hadn't listened to it since the day after graduation. I'd been too angry. Then I'd been too busy. Then I'd forgotten it existed. "Robert," I said, "I need to send you a file. Don't open it yet. Just confirm you received it." "What kind of file?" "A recorded phone conversation from June 5, 2024. It's going to be relevant to this situation." "Was it a conversation you participated in?" "Yes. I was one of 2 parties on the call." "And you're in a one-party consent state for recordings?" "I am." "Send it over." I uploaded the file to our secure client portal. Sent the access link. Waited. Robert called back 4 minutes later. "You've listened to this recently?" "Not since last June." "Why?" "There's a section about 3 minutes in where your father discusses the trust fund distributions. He specifically states that Emma is being excluded from equal treatment because, and I quote, she doesn't have the intellectual capacity to benefit from higher education funding." I closed my eyes. I'd forgotten that part. I'd been so focused on the graduation comments. There's also a section where your mother discusses plans to speak at the graduation ceremony. She says she wants to make sure Emma understands that not everyone can be exceptional. She says someone needs to say it publicly so Emma stops having unrealistic dreams. Robert, what does this mean for their countersuit threat? It means they planned the public humiliation in advance. It means they specifically intended to cause your daughter emotional harm. It means if they try to sue you for defamation, this recording demonstrates that everything you said at that graduation was not only true, but actually understated the severity of their intentions. I pulled out my phone. Started a new text to my parents' attorney. Stopped. What should I do with this? Right now? Nothing. Let me respond to their attorney. Let me tell them we're declining to sign any waiver of estate claims. Let's see what they do next. And if they push forward with the defamation threat, then we release the recording and file our own suit for intentional infliction of emotional distress on a minor. The statute of limitations is 2 years. We're still well within it. And we have documented evidence of premeditation. I hung up, opened my safe, pulled out the recording from my office backup drive I'd made the day before the announcement. The one I'd stored and labeled Insurance, June 2024. I'd been waiting for this. So, what do you think? Did my parents go too far, or was I justified in cutting them off? Let me know in the comments and subscribe for the next update in this family drama.